what new things you learned from Yotpo. The question is from Victor Petrov, who is co-founder of product company Questups.
For sure, how to make presentations, how to be more productive on meetings, I guess, because we didn't do that many before, and now we have to do a lot of meetings with the corona. But on the serious side, it's very striking to me that the way that they were able to kind of like attract the right set of leadership was essentially allowing them to function extremely well. So they were able to attract a great level of leadership, which kind of like is super proficient at very, very specific type of thing, and just managing a huge amount of people. Again, there are 500 plus people. They're in 3 continents, or 4 if I'm counting correct. So it's, I would say they're moving very fast for the amount of people that they are. I'm very amazed by the how data-driven they are versus gut-driven. So definitely being able to double down on sales and attracting the logos, how exactly you go about a specific set of strategy, how you do a task force of a team for, let's say, a deep data dive, and how all of this data is put in a piece of software, how this software afterwards gives you a good predictive sentiments onto what you're really doing, and all of, I would say, the roots behind the plan onto why you're getting more uninstalls, what can you do to stop this trend, how much is this costing the company, and all of those things which usually, you know, we have been neglecting over the time. And very, very smart people. So they have really smart people with a lot of experience. So, you know, just trying to learn from them on a daily basis on multiple verticals. And of course, how to work with multicultural environments as well.
Okay. And just before asking Ivan's questions, because he already asked one, there is a question from Borislav Borisov, who is CEO of Fitsys. It's a product company. So the question is it true to say that product is really good and most customers came from probably your product from referrals? Did you create a new product or there was competition?
I wouldn't say they came from referrals. Yes, that was part of the acquisition strategy, but it wasn't the only strategy that we had in place. Again, for me, in my understanding, I think they came because the product was good. There was a very clear way to identify every dollar spent would result in what time of financial outcome, because we're a marketing app. So it's very important for us to know that you invest X and you get 2X or 3X or whatever. So this was quite essential. So I would argue that at the core of the success was the product and absolutely the team and the dedication of the team.
Okay. And the last pre-asked question is from Daniil Petkov, who is a managing director of Novator Bulgaria, and it is service company. And the question is, which you consider your biggest mistake through this journey, or else said, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I see why this question is last. I don't know how to quantify the biggest mistake. Listen, so probably the question is, what is the biggest lesson learned? I think that throughout this journey, I would say that I think it's important to get rid of the wrong people. The sooner you get rid of the wrong people, the better. Maybe that's it. And to assign the right people at the right position and just trust them and support them to be their best version as well. and that's, of course, I think great service beats everything else. And have, yeah, I think the most valuable lesson, because I'm asked to do one, let's not cheat. I think get rid of the bad people first, sooner rather than later.
The bad people from the team, probably.
Yes.
Okay.
All of the customers are roses in our garden, so I'm talking about only people who are not a proper fit to the team.
Yeah, what I have learned from Peter Thiel and 0 to 1 is that the only one responsibility of a manager is to ensure that everyone is responsible for just one thing. And yet Elon Musk says that, according to one of the 4 things I learned from his book, is that the time since you realize that you should get rid of somebody till the time that you actually do it is the interval of the biggest mistakes. So
yeah, I second that. I just didn't say it that well.
I have read his book. I'm a book builder, so that's why. There is a question from Ivan. He's from Eden Tech Labs, and he's asking what happened to the service business and the remaining 119 products.
They have their own life. I mean, they keep going. It's just not it's not something that we manage nowadays. My focus is on SMSBump and growing the team and scaling the team, and also having us become a public company under the Yotpo banner. So this is the thing that we're working on right now, which again, being successful would be a very, very, it will be I don't know, maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity.
So guys, we have like 13 more minutes with with Mihail, and there is a question with IPO. So probably the question from Victor Petrov is say something about the potential IPO with Yotpo.
Well, we see potential. So IPO.
So it's like the main game. There was actually a question from the founder and CEO of Coherent Labs, and why but probably he didn't manage to come, and why did you sold the business, given in concern that it was running so good and so well?
Anytime that you go in a certain level of investment, you have to have an exit strategy. With us, we weren't blind. The fact that there were a lot of competitors, we didn't have presence in the States, so we either had to do like a big round, let's say 5-10 million, and maybe one of us moved to the United States or hire a professional director there, or we just had to rely on a company which already did all of the stuff and has the model figured out. So we had, I think this is why we turned out so many investment opportunities which were knocking on the door. I just, none of us wanted to go and live in the States again. And we really like Bulgaria. We think there are a lot of opportunities there. And we decided just to be able to ride on an experienced company which already has figured everything out, and then see what it is like to kind of like be in this pre-IPO stage, rather than try to bang our heads again for maybe a few years before you get another investment and then another investment. Because at the end of the day, this is the game. Like most of the companies don't IPO. They just go from one investment, one round to the other one, and it's a never-ending game. And I think we weren't ready for it. We didn't have presence in the United States, which was another factor. And last but not least, we weren't blind to all of the competitors that were coming on the market. So just being able to utilize for instance, 80 plus people based in New York and doing heavy duty sales in the boiler room, or the 100 plus developers in Yotpo who have very sophisticated, I would say, machine learning departments, and and have something which I would argue is pretty interesting for us, and we're looking forward to implementing. So getting this know-how and just being able to be at the, again, right place at the right time, and not closing yourself to the opportunity.
Yes, as far as you remember, you said that actually the acquisition from Yotpo is more strategic than just an exit. Because
oh yeah, for sure, without a doubt. I think it's good enough for all of us and everyone being in the company, and I think it's going to be a whole new learning experience for the whole team.
Okay, and here we have actually a representative from British Embassy, Christina Drago, who she actually helped us a lot last year to, after interviewing and profiling more than 100 product companies and service companies building products, to actually select and invite 25 of them. And British Embassy actually organized the event in British Council, and they picked 5 of the companies. Dreamix, which is here, was one of them, and 4 more to actually fund delegation in Manchester, which happened just before the Corona explosion, which was really, really helpful to us. So she has a question about the UK market, and have you found any key opportunities on the UK market up until now, and partners probably?
Yeah, this is something that we're working on right now. Actually, me and Elena, who is our product marketing manager, we were on a conference maybe one day before they announced the emergency situation. So we were happy that we were able to come back. But Yotpo actually do have a presence and office in London, in the UK. So essentially, again, we're riding on their back, and we're launching, I would say, an abstraction, which is called high touch sales, which is going to happen in a week and a half. And one of the markets that we're going to push for is going to be the UK market. So we have had success in the UK market. I wouldn't say it's texting is as popular as WhatsApp, for instance, in the UK market. But again, this is a whole another discussion on to WhatsApp versus texting versus everything else. So long story short, yes, we're very excited about the UK market, and we definitely see ourselves as a major player there.
Great. And on which conference you were with Elena? I can see that Elena is here actually with us.
We were on a Shopify-based conference with a couple of very cool guys, which some of them are becoming our customers. It's a brand called Manuka Doctor. It's a brand called Huel, which actually produces energy bars and energy drinks in the UK. And another one, which is Gymshark, which is a very, very, I would say, popular apparel brand in the United Kingdom.
Okay, UK is a great market. And we have another question from Georgi Stoyanov, and he's asking, back in your open cart days when you were developing your 120 products and doing project for customer service, how many people were you, and what was the team composition like? How many developers, salespeople, etc.?
All right, just hold on a second. I'm thinking. So we were never like a huge army of people. I think maybe 20-ish. And probably we had, I don't know, what, 10, 14 developers. 14 developers, I would say, or between 10 and 12 developers. And we had support, and we had marketing, and we had business development. Pretty much always R&D heavy ratio. Again, I'm a huge believer in product and in companies which are made more in the, I would say, southeastern way and not in the US way, where you have a very small portion devoted to R&D and very heavy sales structure. I actually believe the opposite is better, especially for our geographic heights.
Yeah, we have better chance with that, and that's why we are interviewing and profiling companies here in order to give them feedback if they are over investing in sales, for example, or totally not having nobody in terms of product marketing, because probably they need at least some product marketing champion, and probably they can find product marketing agency or some other guys that are actually with contacts on the market they are targeting. And we have another question from Stoyan Dimitrov. He's asking how big SMSBump can become. What is the ultimate goal?
Let me start from the second question. Hi, Stoyan. So the ultimate goal is for sure for us to become a public company alongside with Yotpo. This is what we are passionate about. This is what we're grinding and hustling about every day. So how big it can become, do you mean in terms of people or in terms of technology or in terms of, I understand the second part of the question. I'm not very sure about the first part of the question.
Stoyan, you can probably want your audio. We have like 5 minutes, guys, so it would be great for you to just say something for yourself. This microphone is not working well right now. Okay, can you elaborate via text?
Size of the
team.
team.
Is in terms of the size of the team. We will change the office. Yeah.
Very funny. So I don't listen. First, we didn't talk about hiring, but I'm a huge believer that you should never hire people in bulk. Whenever you pretty much have the last person who joined the company being able to train the new person, this is when you're ready to hire. I don't believe in forming teams in weeks. Works. It creates a lot of noise and for sure destroys the culture, which is something that I'm super against. One of the reasons we joined Yotpo is because I believe we found similar interlapping cultures with them. And, that was kind of like a huge worry to us as founders with Georgi is what's going to happen? Are they going to impose processes on us? Are they going to allow us to be who we are? And frankly, with them, I think we made the right choice. Now, how big the team needs to be, I don't think that there is a set number of how much we need to be. I would rather put it as to how productive we need to be, and the answer is a lot. And are we going to change the office? Are you saying that the office right now is not good, or I don't understand? Actually, Stian is manager in SMSBump. Thank you for joining us, Stian. I'm pretty curious as to how you haven't become bored of me yet, but thank you for going the extra mile and listening to me for another hour and a half of your lifetime. So again, just to be on the serious side, I believe it's very important for us to double down on quality and not always focus on being after a certain number of people, because the more people, the more complex, the more processes. Again, I believe in controlled chaos. So as long as we can keep the company lean and mean and implement as much as stuff as possible, that will be the model that I would like to follow.
Great. And we have 3 last questions, and one is from Axel, who is trainer at Meta Reading. Axel, can you ask your question yourself?
Sure, thank you for that. And actually, thanks for Mihail for being here tonight and answering all of our questions. So, cut to the chase, you spoke about some issue, like a problem you had, like having received many ideas for features that you should take on in tweaking your product. In a similar way, if you're in my position, like having like many recommendations for which marketing tool or strategy should you use, like how do you cut out the bad ones and you choose and stick with the good ones? Thanks.
What I think now is that if you can quantify whether you choose one thing over another and it's going to bring you X amount of outcome, I would go for the ones that with a smaller amount of effort will bring you a maximum, a larger amount of exposure or success. I'm not sure what type of tool specifically you're talking about, so I can give you a more detailed response. But back in the days when we had customers, when they would come and they would reach out to us, I would always go to the developers and I would say how difficult it is to make it. So if they tell me it's 3 weeks, then I would prioritize something which is much smaller, but would bring an equal amount of outcome for the customers. So I would always go for, let's make more features that cumulatively are going to bring 1.5, then one feature which is going to take equal amount of time, but bring only one, if that's kind of like makes sense. If not, unmute yourself and ask again, and I'll try to.
Probably, I believe it's enough. And so we have 2 last questions, and the one is from Antonio, and he's asking, how do you see yourself after 10 years as an entrepreneur?
I hope with the same level of passion that I'm today. I'm absolutely happy with everyone I'm working today and with the value that we're creating. I think if I can repeat what we did with SMSBump and make a much larger product and a more successful one, now that we would know exactly how to do it exactly, with all the things that I'm planning to learn with Yotpo, that will be a very favorable outcome for the whole ecosystem, and maybe inspire younger people, try to transfer the knowledge. I believe that knowledge is super important, and I'm a huge fan of making it free and available and not charging for it. So as long as I can help people in 10 or 15 years, I would feel super fulfilled in my journey. So long story short, making an even bigger company with an even bigger outcome for the whole ecosystem in the Balkans, and just motivating more and more people to do even better than us, because I think all of you can.
Yes, great answer. And the last question is from Mihail, and he will ask it personally. Mihail?
Thank you, Dimitar. Mihail, you've been very generous with your time, so thank you for this. And last question is more like from the yellow pages. What type of a leader are you like? Are you more like the stubborn guy who is really challenging to argue with, or you're the type of leader who is really empathic and more listening? And thanks to Elena, she already responded from an employee side of view. I'm interested in your point of view. Like, what is the perception of you in the team?
Well, if Julian and Stoyan or Elena can unmute themselves and give me a remark, that would be even better. I think I'm very stubborn because not to communicate with, but when I believe in something, I want to make sure that everyone is aligned and we all keep our eyes on the prize. I work very hard, and for me, just being able, the person needs to set a very high standard of both moral and what they expect, and have very clear success, and draw the line for everyone in the team as how successful they can become. So sometimes I'm horrible, sometimes I'm really nice to play with. I'm very, very optimistic. I mean, I can spend 1 hour to tell you all the shit that happened to me during those 9 years and how we dealt with it. So with me, I can end with this. When I was in my hometown and I was still kind of like resisting becoming a low person, I used to play table tennis, and the table tennis and the boxing were in the same hall. So I was very kind of like interested into trying out boxing, even though I have never fought with anyone before that. So I went to the trainer and asked, how do you sign up? They told me this is how you sign up, and this is a bad practice, hashtag don't do it at home, but from the first lesson they kind of like taught us 1 or 2 things, and they put us to spar. So the moment they put us to spar and you got the first punch and you're on the ground, you have to make sure that you have the resistance to stand up again. So I think this pretty much signifies what an entrepreneur needs to be. Like, you need to see yourself being the guy who, and again, this is not to spark any level of aggression, but you need to see yourself as the guy who can throw those nice punches and protect yourself. and be able to stand up no matter how hard you're hit, and not and just being able to be resisting to everyone, being optimistic, and being able to transfer this enthusiasm and to share your ideas across the board. And last but not least, finding, like, always know that every person is triggered by a different thing. Finding what triggers one person versus another versus the third one, you know, is of essence. So always be super close and super available to everyone you're working with. Don't close doors. Don't be like, yeah, I'm a big shot and stuff like that. Ego down, very, very down. Even though you're CEO or whatever, doesn't matter that your decisions are always smarter than everyone else and better than everyone else. Whenever you have to impose yourself and take action, take it, but make sure to always listen to your team, because arguably, again, they're the most important asset of you. We ended up a little bit on Yuli Tonking note. So sorry for the inspirational morphism. I hope this answers your question, Mihail. But yeah, I mean, just be resilient and kick ass.
And Julian or Stoyan, are they going to add something? Meanwhile, if they are answering or seeing, because you invited them, I would say finally what Christina from British Embassy said, that you have been great with big GREAT by the transparency and availability delivered to those attending, which is actually what I was amazed when I first heard from you. The story and the content actually super useful, and you have the opportunity, the support of the UK Department of International Trade community if you need it. So to all of you guys, super thank you for developing products, because we have a lot of potential here in Bulgaria and also in Romania. Thanks for our guests from Macedonia, from Romania, and from around the world. And super big thanks to Mihail. It was really amazing.
Last words from me. I just want to say this. You're all now onto the outsourcing industry. This is how and what I feel about the outsourcing industry. We're chopping trees from the forest, we're bringing them down to our bases, and we're selling them with a very low margin. I think all of you have collective experience that you can start something much, much bigger and actually start producing furniture out of those planks. So think about this. I'm sure all of you have already the experience. A Chinese proverb says that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So just try to pivot, start smart, start small, start smart. And I think it's going to be a surge. There will be a surge of products and exits in our geographical regions, not only in Bulgaria, but also I think Romania, Serbia, North Macedonia, all of us in the Balkans. So don't be afraid to fail the idea. Always give some limit as to how much you want to invest in an idea. And again, don't be super stubborn. If it doesn't work, maybe in 2 years it's going to work and you're missing something. Thank you so much for attending. I'll be very happy to meet all of you once we're allowed to actually go out without masks. I wish you all the best. I can give you my email. You can add me on LinkedIn as well. If you have any questions, I couldn't understand your stories, but if you have any questions for me, you can either email me at mstoychev@yotpo.com or just add me on LinkedIn, Mihail Stoychev, Mihail for everyone who is not Bulgarian. And again, thank you. Hope you were able to learn something today. I'm literally without saliva. Haven't talked that much for quite some time, but again, hope it was useful for you guys.
Guys, it was super useful. Can you unmute your microphones and to test something that would be actually happening if we were in a room? Can we just unmute and give some heartful applauses to Mihail, please? introduction. So we almost feel in a real life room. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening. Have fun, take care. Most importantly, hope to see you soon again.